It is great to be back here on Sweet Home SEC, presented by the Great American Sports Network and our sponsor, Stadium Crashers, the documentary. Noah, we know all about it because we were there.
Yes,
14 SEC stadiums in 9 days and 4,000 miles. It was a great trip. Check out stadiumcrashers.com, man. That was a great documentary we did. It's released now, man. It's out.
It is. I mean, it's more than just about these stadiums. It's about kind of the nightlife of the towns.
The culture,
that we went to.
really.
The culture, yeah. The fans we met, some of the school officials, and just breaking away from societal norms and chasing your dreams.
Well, we've got your college football. It stays and plays with us right here on Sweet Home SEC because we are talking the college football playoff. We are talking about all the big matchups this weekend and what a wild football season it's been so far. And right now, as things start to develop, teams start to rise to the top, we have some big matchups this weekend. And coming off, for the team in our state here in Missouri, the Tigers coming off a consecutive road blowout, this time at the hands of Florida, and in a rain-soaked swamp there. And it wasn't raining when we were at the swamp during the documentary. It was 190 degrees. But Missouri goes in there and just lays another egg.
Yeah.
Right now, this team looks to just have no identity. Drew Lock's not playing well. He may be regressing. I don't see a lot of positives right now if you're a Missouri fan, other than the fact that you play Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt in your next 4 games. That gives you a ray of hope. But can this team get to a bowl game? You, before the season, said no. I said yes at 6-6. I think you might be right, my friend. I don't know if Missouri's going to get there.
Yeah, I said 5-7, and even that's kind of in question. I mean, you've got Kentucky, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Vandy's kind of heads. They've been impressive. They've stayed close with
one
some
at
teams.
Georgia on Saturday.
Yeah, they got a win against Georgia. They've been close in some other games, but Missouri, the bottom of the SEC East right now, they have to win the next 4 in a row to get into this bowl game. You listed them off, and then it's at Tennessee, home against Arkansas. Those look like very unlikely wins coming there, so they've got to wheel off 4 in a row if they hope to get to a bowl game. Drew Lock, 54% completion percentage. That's not going to cut it. Not in the SEC, not really anywhere at quarterback. So their 2 wins, Eastern Michigan, Delaware State, a close game against Georgia. They should have won. They let it slip through their fingers. Right. And then those 2 blowout wins, you mentioned LSU and Florida. So you're right. This team doesn't have an identity. We still don't know what this team is. This far into the season, we still don't know who they are.
An identity, that's a good word, because that's what I've been saying all year, is that what is the identity of the University of Missouri right now? With this has been the worst year in athletics history, probably for the University of Missouri. Basketball is down. We saw what happened last year with the football team. Just an absolute downslide. Gary Pinkel has cancer. He retires. Barry Odom comes in. And what we saw some flashes early in the season from this young staff. Josh Heupel looked like was really wanting to run this high up-tempo offense. Yeah. Drew Lock led the SEC in passing yards up until, I believe, this last week. And that's with a bye in there. And that was done against really subpar competition and one really good half against Georgia. But Missouri didn't finish that game. And I wonder how devastating that was for the Missouri Tigers to not close that Georgia game, because I said it at the time, I was like, that is going to absolutely kill this team. It could. Defense has played a little bit better, had to really hold the fort against Florida last Saturday, but the Gators had just, they had a lot of, they have good players at the skill positions. Their defense, their secondary, with Tabor at corner,
Jalen Tabor,
best corner I think in the nation, and that's the best secondary you saw. And again, just shut Missouri down. Missouri is really trying to find itself, and it's a troubling time. Missouri does have some really good things coming up. They have just approved a $75 million renovation to the stadium in the south end zone, which is much needed. And they've got, I think, 2 different donations of one of $8 million that just came in, one of 10. They're setting records for donations, which you have to do in the SEC, but Missouri's got to step it up. Recruiting, on-field play, facilities, all the above. Missouri's going to have to step it up, or this could be, you could find themselves in the cellar of this conference. Because as much as I do like Barry Odom, you're still talking about a first-time coach in the SEC and in college football, and that could be a recipe for disaster, really. Yeah,
it's a transition for Missouri, for Barry Odom. Drew Lock is kind of transitioning and trying to find out who he is and becoming a quarterback in this SEC. We had TJ Moe on earlier a few weeks ago, and he was talking about how Drew Lock looked like maybe the best quarterback in the SEC, other than maybe Chad Kelly at Ole Miss. Definitely has the lineage there for Chad Kelly with Jim Kelly. But those receivers, he said maybe they look better than I do, but I don't know about that. TJ, you look pretty good out there. These receivers aren't really getting it done, aren't getting in the end zones.
No, I'm with you there. And so it's, from from that, I want to transition to what is our SEC game of the week, and it's the national game of the week. College Game Day is going to be in Tuscaloosa for Alabama and Texas A&M. What a season so far for Texas A&M, and I think if anyone left that's going to knock off the Crimson Tide, it could be Texas A&M. We saw what Trevor Knight's been able to bring to this offense. They have a lot of good receivers at the skill positions. Defensively, they're a big play defense. Myles Garrett is nicked up right now. They're 100th ranked overall, though, and Alabama coming in. That could be a problem. What do you see playing out here as game day rolls into Tuscaloosa?
Well, I do like what I saw from Texas A&M a couple weeks ago against Tennessee. You like what you get from Myles Garrett off the corner. He was a little dinged up and hurt, and even before that Tennessee game, they had the open week last week, so hopefully he gets healthy. And then that offense, Trevor Knight, he's got a great deep ball, great spiral, just that competitive fire when he's running the ball. He won't be stopped until he gets to that goal line. You've got Christian Kirk, Josh Reynolds, Travion Williams. They've got a lot of offensive firepower, but it's just not enough against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Yeah. Nick Saban, Texas A&M's had a great season, undefeated, number 6 in the country, but it comes to a close here. They're not going to lose big. I think it's a 2-score game at most, but Alabama comes out on top. Roll Tide, roll.
Yeah, you're right. There's definitely no history to indicate that Texas A&M
exactly. They can't beat Alabama.
They can't pull off a road win like this to go to. Actually, that's exactly what they're going to do, because back in 2012, you saw Johnny Manziel and the upstart Texas A&M Aggies go to Tuscaloosa and end that perfect season. And I think the Aggies are primed for this upset. I think they're going to go. They're going to go get
Trevor Knight's no Johnny Manziel on or off the field. It's not going to happen.
That could be a good thing. As well.
Some of that is.
I think Texas A&M goes and gets it, and we're going to really delve into this. When I got an ace up my sleeve, Noah, because
that's a big ace you got.
I do have a big ace up my sleeve, and we both do, because we have a former Texas A&M Aggie. Now, he didn't play in the SEC. He didn't even play in the Big 12, but our buddy, Big Sam Adams, former Texas A&M Aggie, former Southwest Conference Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Texas A&M Hall of Famer, is going to be joining us right now to talk about the big game, A&M and Alabama. Big Sam Adams, welcome to the show. How have you been? How's everything going, Sam?
Everything's going great, man. It has been a while.
Absolutely, it has, and I tell you what, we're such an integral part of the Texas A&M Aggies. You, of course, were an Aggie yourself, not in the SEC, not in the Big 12, but in the old Southwest Conference. Sam, I'm not trying to date anybody here, but that's been a minute ago. But a big SEC matchup this week: Alabama hosting your Texas A&M Aggies. Man, what have you? This Kevin Sumlin really seems to have gotten the most out of this team. You got to be really proud of this team sitting here at undefeated right now.
Yeah, you never know what the team's going to look like. We have a lot of big recruits, and Sumlin has put together a great staff, and our program has always been one of the top programs in the country. But now this year, they're really playing well. They put it together. So, they have a big test this weekend in Alabama. They are year in and year out one of the better programs in the country. Nick Saban is a great coach. He's coached on all levels, and it's going to be a really big test for us.
What do you see in this Aggies defense? You got Jalen Hurts coming up. He's a good pocket passer, but he can also get out, use his feet, and extend plays and really burn you down the field with his legs. What do you see? Can Myles Garrett kind of keep him contained and get some sacks? What do you see in this Aggie defense?
I thought that this year the big emphasis was on stopping the run for us, and I think they actually have gotten better at that. But, with this quarterback, it's not the typical ground and pound Alabama that you see. They have a dynamic quarterback that allows the offensive coordinator to be able to spread the ball around. They can attack us a lot of different ways. But with our defensive line, they're extremely athletic, they're fast, they're gifted, and, they're well coached. So I think Terry Price has done a great job with those cats, and, it's going to be a great test for them. But it's more difficult for a quarterback to play against an athletic line such as ours at Texas A&M than it is him, your typical run stuffer. So they're going to have a big test. They typically come in and blow everyone out, and I think that, Alabama's going to have a ball game on their hands.
Absolutely. I do as well. And we saw this in 2012 where you saw an up-and-coming Texas A&M team that went to Tuscaloosa against an undefeated Alabama team, shocked everyone. Johnny Manziel had a huge game that game, and the Aggies get the win. I mean, what do you see out of Trevor Knight? Obviously, just a slew of offensive talent here that's been surrounding him. But Trevor Knight seems to be the incumbent quarterback, the solid dependable quarterback that A&M's been missing the last couple years. What do you think he's bringing to this Aggie offense?
When Johnny Manziel was there, he's special, and he was surrounded by a lot of special guys. Well, I think that we have another quarterback now in Trevor Knight that's special, that's surrounded by special guys. His cast of characters are going to have to step up, and they're going to have to play well. I mean, they're going to have to catch balls. We can't have a lot of busted plays, and we're going to have to really come out and execute. Trevor Knight's smart. He's strong. He can run the ball. I mean, he gives us a great chance to win. I think that collectively, if we can eliminate the turnovers and we can, keep their offense off the field and eliminate their big plays and special teams, it'll give us a better chance to win the game. We're not talking about slowing them down or that kind of thing. We don't talk like that in Aggie land. We talk about winning, and this is a team that we've beaten before, and we're going to have to go in and do the same thing.
What about this Aggie offensive line and run game with Travion Williams? You see Alabama's got that big front seven. Reuben Foster, maybe the best linebacker in the country for the Crimson Tide. Do you think Travion Williams can get going in the running game? He's a very versatile back out of the backfield too, or do you think it's going to be more of a pass-heavy offense come Saturday?
Well, in order to beat Alabama, you got to run the ball. I mean, you got to keep them off the field, or you got to complete a lot of short passes and make a lot of big plays. So it just depends what the game plan is. We have a great offensive line. They've had some success. We have dynamic running backs. We have a lot of dynamic players on offense that we need to get the ball in their hands. So, I think that if they come out and, we can do an array of different things. We can throw a lot of screens. We can attack them by pounding the ball up the middle. We can attack them by running with the quarterback with the read zones and options and so forth. So we have a lot of different weapons ourselves, but they're going to have to be sound because Alabama's defense is sound. They're physical. They're aggressive. They have a ball-hawking secondary. And, again, special teams is going to have a big play on the game. So we're going to have to be at our best. We're going to have to be hitting on all cylinders to come up and take it to them. The thing about a bully, you got to go and punch a bully in the mouth. And I know Kevin Sutherland has the boys ready. If they come out and they punch Alabama in the mouth, they don't like that. And the people, when you see teams that beat them, like Ohio State, like us, you see them get punched in the mouth. The teams are more physical than they are, and they play faster. And so we're going to have to come out and play fast, play physical, and punch them in the mouth before they get a chance to get going.
Well, what's your prediction in this game, Sam? Who wins it, and kind of what's the score going to be? We're holding you to this, by the way.
I can't predict. I've never been a great predictor. I'm rooting for my boys, and I'm hoping that they come out with a win. They are playing Alabama, so you never know what's going to happen. But I will tell you this: our boys aren't scared. They're going to come and try to give it to them, and I think this will be Alabama's best competition of the year. And I see us, if we can execute in special teams and we can not turn the ball over and get a couple turnovers ourselves, I think we'll beat them. I don't know if it's going to be a close game or an explosive game because both offenses allow you to score a little bit, but I think that if we play defense how we're supposed to, and there's an emphasis there on eliminating big plays, eliminating runs over 10 yards, eliminating passes over 15 yards, eliminating yards after the catch, and we can get them to turn the ball over, we'll beat Alabama.
Well, I want to kind of get into your career and your thoughts on the SEC in general because you played in the early 90s in the Southwest Conference before A&M made it move to the Big 12. Kyle Field's always been one of the best home environments in the country. It's an amazing stadium, but my gosh, they put $1 billion into it. With this new SEC network revenue money. I know college football is kind of topsy-turvy with conference realignment, but you were an all-conference selection. You played in Texas A&M back in the Southwest Conference, which was a great conference. But what do you feel about I don't know how long it's been since you've been back to College Station, but my gosh, that stadium, the fan base, it is on fire, and the SEC has a lot to do with that. Are you a fan of A&M in the SEC?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm an Aggie through and through. I was just back there last year, and so I'm an Aggie through and through. I think that We spend a lot of money. I think the fans, not only the fans, but our alumni are the best in the world. I think that the SEC has done great things for us. And, it reminds me of the old Southwest Conference. A lot of dynamic players, a lot of teams that can run the ball, a lot of teams that can score. We play great defense. So it kind of reminds me of the old Southwest Conference. I think that it's done wonders for us. And today's game, as it evolves and as college football evolves, I think that hands down the SEC is the best conference in college football.
What's lost on a lot of people is, you talk about how important the defensive line play is, and I agree. You play defensive line. You played for 13 years in the NFL. Sam, your body type, your size, and your athleticism is really, I don't know that I've ever seen a player like you that was that size and could do that with the football. I mean, you were a track athlete at A&M. I mean, did you ever see your size? You used it to your advantage, but did you ever growing up see your size as a detriment? I mean, you obviously use it to your advantage though. I mean, there's never been anyone like you that size and that athletic. I mean, how did you harness that?
Well, I thank God for the blessings that He's bestowed upon me, and I've had good trainers and people that have been around me, and they helped me become a better player, a better athlete. And it started at Cypress Creek High School, where with the weight program that we had there in Les Kenny, and then at Texas A&M, R.C. Slocum, man, he was really on us about the strength and conditioning. I think it starts with strength and conditioning. And, you see a lot of these guys getting hurt, in today's game, and it's because they don't train like we do. The training is softer. The workouts are softer. The practices are, if I played now, I played 14 years in the NFL. If I played today, I probably played 25 years. They don't practice that hard. They don't get after it. They're not as physical. They want to protect everyone. I think the concussion thing is a real thing, but everything else, there's no reason for them not to be better than they are. And so I think that, the way that we train and, to be explosive and to be fast and to be physical, I think the mindset is a little bit different. And, I was very thankful to play as long as I did, but I think that there's a lot of guys that have that ability. They just, they can't do it as long. And I think that, when you look at today's game, it's about tricking people. It's about, read options and slinging the ball all around. But every year in and year out, when you get to the playoffs and you get to the Super Bowl, whether it be college, the national championship, or pros, the teams that are physical, that can run the ball, play great defense, and turn the ball over with special teams defensively, those are the teams that you see winning week in and week out. And that will never change.
But hey, I'll tell you what, we've kept you too long, man. We cannot thank you enough on short notice for coming on talking about this. We are going to be watching. I've got the Texas A&M Aggies winning this weekend. Noah here does not. I told him if there needs to be a dog pile on Noah here, that I'll just stand back and let you take care of that. So.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the opportunity, and let's see those Aggies do this weekend.
Hey, thanks a lot, Sam. Let's catch up soon. Let's not go so long without talking, man. Let's catch up again soon, man.
Always a pleasure.
All right, thanks a lot.
I told you I had an ace up my sleeve, and I think
man.
I got Big Sam on my side here, Noah. And I don't know if you want to be under that dog pile.
I don't think I do. So if it's Big Sam Adams and you, I might have to change my pick to Texas A&M. Go Aggies, gig 'em!
Well, hey, as things play out, I think that the winner of this game automatically jumps into that spot, and because it's going to be impossible, I think, for the loser of this game to get back in the SEC West picture to win this division, because they're going to, in a sense, be down 2 games, because they're going to have to rely on a loss from the other team, and for them to get or 2 losses really from the other team to get back over ahead of them. So as the playoffs start shaping out, the winner of this game is going to be in a great shot for it, and you got to love what Alabama's done so far. But A&M, they're just one of those teams. We've been in Kyle Field, man. We know what that stadium's like. We know what kind of facilities and what kind of commitment Texas A&M has. And Kevin Sumlin, I'll tell you, he has been an up and down tenure here in College Station.
Here and there. So,
he's cleared his name because the Aggies are undefeated and what they've done, impressively beating a team like Arkansas a couple weeks ago. And this is going to really go a long way to figure out the playoff picture. But as we move on speaking of Arkansas, what a win from the Aggies over the Ole Miss Rebels last week. A&M or Arkansas loves to play it close to the vest. They are the cardiac kids. If you're an Arkansas fan, you've at least had a heart attack or two by now. But they're going on the road to face Auburn, and the Tigers are quietly becoming a bit of a factor here. They do have 2 losses.
Yeah.
But with only 1 loss in the conference, are they still a bit of a factor here? They're ranked 21st. They they're figured it out defensively. What do you make of this Auburn team? And is Arkansas going to be primed for another triple overtime game here as they go on the road?
I think it'll be triple overtime, but I'm going with Gus Malzahn and the Tigers in this game to come out in that triple overtime. They finally do it. They get a big win. They make up for that LSU game. They thought they lost. They won it. This Arkansas game, they might think they're going to lose it, but they're going to win it. I like the Tigers.
Woo Pig Suey, my friend. The Arkansas Razorbacks, with Austin Allen, the way he's played right now at quarterback, their defense, aside from the game against Alabama, has been really good, and they were able to shut down a late drive attempt by Ole Miss and Chad Kelly. So I really like what Arkansas is bringing right now. In fact, the way this may play out, I think Arkansas is going to finish right at the top, towards the top in the upper third of that division. I really like what Arkansas has done, and especially where their schedule plays out down the road. Going to be interesting to see them taking on teams like LSU down the stretch.
Yeah.
This Auburn game's big. I mean, you still got Mississippi State, who's not very good, but they're going to surprise somebody. So, and speaking of college football, this year's been so wild. Biggest surprise for you this year? Do you have a team that just jumped out as a surprise? Maybe non-SEC.
Non-SEC team, Washington.
I was going to say Washington.
Yeah,
I agree.
Is my biggest surprise. North Carolina was impressive. They just lost, but they have been impressive. Mitch Trubisky, their quarterback there in North Carolina, kind of surprised me. Did some
Washington
good things,
State. How about the Apple Cup this year?
Yes.
Because that could be a game with, the way that Washington State's played offense, and their defense has been good. Both Washington State and Washington have already taken Oregon behind the woodshed. So the Apple Cup coming up at the end of the season could, decide that division. And I like what Mike Leach has done at Washington State. That's another surprise to me, but Washington, I agree, hanging 70 on Oregon and the way they played defense.
Beating Stanford. Nobody really actually gave them a shot in that with
Killed
Christian
Stanford,
McCaffrey out
absolutely.
there. Yeah, and they just destroyed them. It was
Stanford's a surprise in a negative way for me because I thought Christian McCaffrey would have had to do a lot to lose the Heisman Trophy, and he's done it.
I know.
They're just not very good.
Yeah.
They're just not very good. So in the Big Ten, we saw what happened when Ohio State with a gutsy road win over the Wisconsin, over Wisconsin at Camp Randall, overtime. Ohio State, Michigan, that's obviously what this is going to come down to. But in the other division, Nebraska is still undefeated. They've played the worst schedule in the country. Maybe they've not beaten a team that's currently ranked.
Yeah, they're number 10. They're undefeated, so everything's golden there for the Cornhuskers until they get to the Big Ten championship game against the likes of Ohio State or Michigan. Then you're going to see their true colors. It's just...
Well, we want to go ahead and unveil a new segment here as the season is, a little more than half over now, and it is our playoff bonanza, our playoff picks, and this is going to be kind of a post-emptive playoff pick because we're going to say after this weekend's games, what's this going to look like next week? No, let's start with you. Your 4 playoff teams. Let's hear them, and let's hear why.
All right, I picked Alabama over Texas A&M, even though you and Big Sam Adams threatened me a little bit, but I'm still sticking with the Alabama Crimson Tide, so I have them in the playoff. After this week, Ohio State's still going to be number 2, but I like Michigan moving forward. I think they're going to win in that game. I like Jim Harbaugh. I like what Michigan has, the quarterback, that defense. I like what Michigan can do, so I'm going to take Jim Harbaugh on that. I got Michigan as the other playoff team. And then I think you have to go with Clemson since they beat Louisville in that game. I don't see how Louisville can get back.
Nearly should have lost to NC State.
They should have.
Get docked for that?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. They're at the top of that Atlantic Division in the ACC. So I've got Clemson and a team we talked about kind of surprising us, being impressive, Washington, and what they've done. They've taken over that after beating Stanford. So I definitely like what Washington has. Those are my 4 teams.
Well, as I look at mine, obviously there's not a lot of wiggle room because the undefeateds there's minimal undefeateds right now. We're in 6 of them that really have a chance at this thing at this point. Things could certainly change, but after this, I've got A&M, so I've got to slide A&M into that playoff spot, which means I have to bump Alabama out, which is unbelievable, and I should receive all sorts of Twitter just hate for that, but I have to because I don't have a one-loss team. making it into these playoffs.
Exactly, you can't.
So I've got to bump them out. That means I've got Texas A&M and not so fast on Michigan because I think Ohio State is going to. I'm not going to pick against Urban Meyer. He's been there. He's done that. Jim Harbaugh. I think the moment's going to be too big for him. And I like Ohio State as that second win. Aside from that, I'm going to go with you. Clemson. I want to dock them so bad.
And I want Louisville.
Lost.
I want to see Lamar Jackson.
I do too. I like Louisville.
I can't believe
I like Louisville better as a team, and I think they have a more explosive offense. But Deshaun Watson, this hasn't been a great year statistically for him, but they just keep winning.
Exactly.
Clemson Tigers, and they've got the win over Auburn early in the year. They have good wins, and they're going to have more opportunities to test that. So I still got Clemson and the Washington Huskies. To me, Washington is that fourth team. So really, we just flip-flopped A&M, Alabama, Michigan, and Ohio State.
Yeah.
And other than that, we agree. But, hey, things are going to be, kind of coming to a head in these next few games. And we just can't thank you enough for joining us here on the Sweet Home SEC show, brought to you, of course, by Stadium Crashers, DVD, stadiumcrashers.com, and our website.
A film for the ages.
Oh, wow, that was great.
Yes.
That was great. Our website, GreatAmericanSportsNetwork.com. Everything is archived there. Every interview, every show, every single article, we are on top of it.
Hit us up on Twitter. We love the interaction at GASN Sports, at GASN Sports. We love it. Always bring it.
Hey, so feel free to pull up yourself a tailgating chair, grab yourself a glass of sweet tea, enjoy some college football this weekend. We will be back next week.